Ora viva, meus amigos, estamos de volta com mais um Espaço Mwangolé na 𝗀𝗻𝗄 TV. Mês de fevereiro, com o nome é celebrar o Black History Month. E nosso convidado da semana é Mario Rigby, explorador, atleta, aventureiro e amigo da 𝗀𝗻𝗄 TV, e está aqui no Espaço Mwangolé. Por isso, vamos ouvir testemunho, histórias deste grande homem que também é negro e é do Canadá. Vamos à nossa conversa.
My name is Mario Rigby, and I am an eco-explorer, and I focus on sustainable travel, sustainable adventures, and I go around the world looking at places for clean energy stories. I look at climate impact stories, and I also look at quality of education stories. And a lot of these impacts have a lot to do with my focus on bringing humanity together and being able to move the advent of humanity forward into a more productive future. Being Black to me means actually being African. And, although I was born in the Caribbean, I know that, we were essentially taken away from our motherland and scattered around the world to work for this industrial revolution. And because of our work and our efforts and our sweat and our tears, we've built this world. And I think by being Black, I think we're gonna actually carry this forward. I think Africa is going to become the new frontier of the third and fourth industrial revolution, because we've always been the forefront of human civilization. The most significant thing for me for Black History Month actually is to be able to showcase all of the things that Black people have done in the past. Skilled, talented, people that have been forgotten, people that have not had the voice or recognition to shine and rightfully had their themselves be exposed to the world. There are so many talented Black individuals from around the world since before the Western Industrial Revolution. And I think with Black History Month, we really show homage to the people who've contributed and made a change to the world. The most inspiring moment for me in my life during Black History Month would probably be actually this moment right here, this time, because I have such a growing platform and following of people, and I feel a huge weight of responsibility of which I'm happy to take on. And so what that means is being able to show homage to Black people who have made a significant difference in the world in the past, but also Black people who are making a difference today. What I meant by that statement of I am a Black man, I am an explorer, I am inquisitive, I am resilient, I am stubborn, I am a truth seeker, and I am human. What that meant to me was that I encompass everything that a human being can possibly encompass. And I think by being a Black individual, we are faced with an enormous amount of challenges in today's world. And so I have to take on a lot more than, what our counterparts would have to face, when it comes to racism, when it comes to basically being disadvantaged in society. And you have to kind of go past that, above and beyond. So everything I do really is pushing 3 times harder than everybody else needs to push. So that makes me the ultimate, what I believe in my own self, human that you can be. To me, there are so many, so many people, Black people in history that have inspired me. I mean, we go way, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King Jr., obviously all these people inspire me. But one of the people that inspired me, I guess, is Matthew Hansen, because he falls under the same category and field of work that I do, which is exploration. He was the first man to have made it to the North Pole. He was the first human being to step foot, on the center of the world, and he wasn't recognized for that. And to be able to do something so incredible, it requires so much skill, it requires so much intelligence, but most importantly, it takes so much courage to get there. So he's one of those people that inspires me. Before I jump into that, actually, I used to watch a show called The Black Panther. You probably heard about this before. Yes. And, before T'Challa had to become the king of Wakanda, he thought to himself, like, I need to go on a walkabout around Africa to learn about the cultures, the different indigenous tribes, the flora and fauna of the continent. So, he went through this whole year of walking around Africa, and he got robbed, he fell in love, he got into trouble, but he saw the reality of life, and that made him a better leader. And so for me, crossing Africa was essentially the same thing. I wanted to experience the everyday lives of African people. I wanted to learn their ways so that when I get into a position of leadership, I want to have all of those skills and all of that experience with me as my backbone. I chose the African continent for a number of reasons. One, because, it's where our ancestors come from. And two, because of this majestic, beautiful land it's so attractive, it's so romantic that to me, I was drawn to that place. And three, I believe that it's the reality of the world. I think that, the worst and the best things can happen in Africa. It's, in the movie Blood Diamond, they call it TIA, which is, this is Africa. This is the only way you can describe a lot of situations that happen down there. And I wanted to be a part of that. I wanted to experience that. And so that's one of the reasons why I chose Africa, and because of my childhood dream of being this Wakanda character, T'Challa. The most memorable moment in Africa, very hard to say, but I would say it's a sequence of moments. It's essentially just meeting people. It's meeting random strangers and how quick they are to bring you into their homes and to be so hospitable to you. It's a new level of compassion and a new level of hospitality that I've never seen before in my life. The legacy I would like to leave behind is a legacy of, being an eco-explorer, one of the greatest eco-explorers there have ever been. And, that also being a Black man. But even beyond that, what I want to leave behind is a legacy of people who go above and beyond, the triumphs of trying to bring humanity forward in a positive direction because they're inspired by the expeditions and the adventures that I've been on. If I can inspire a young group of individuals in the future, then I feel like I've done everything that I needed to do, which is essentially just inspire and power up the next generation so that they can push the limits even further. With all my experiences in Africa, I've I've got to see a lot. I got to see the environmental changes. I've got to see social changes. I've got to see all these different impacts that have contributed to where Africa is and where the rest of the world is. And I got to see firsthand a lot of those places where there was massive drought. And I've got to see places where, you know, people living in poverty, but they're all helping each other. They're living in a community. They're living this Ubuntu lifestyle. And where I would like to go moving forward is focusing on the sustainable development impacts, such as clean energy, climate action, and quality of education. So these are the three things that I'm really focusing on all my expeditions. They'll include one of those things or all three of them. And I think for me, I want to have a razor sharp vision and mission in order to try to eradicate as much as I can all of the the impacts of all of those things in terms of climate action. We want to go out into the water and make sure that, you know, I expose the truth about what's happening with the warming of the coral reefs, as an example. Or when I went to Uganda for quality of education, I got to visit a refugee school and see that by engaging in them and putting effort into educating them, they can overcome the barriers and obstacles and lead lives that are, you know, of high quality. So yeah, you know what? Yeah, that's an interesting question. So where is home for me? Home, I think I used to say home for me was a place and time. That means wherever I am in the moment of time is where my home is. And I was used to that because ever since I was a child, I used to move around a lot, all the way from Europe, you know, in Germany, to Turks and Caicos Islands in the Caribbean, to Canada. And so, you know, I've probably moved around from like more than 25 times in my life. So I've never really had a one place where I settled, and I'm okay with that. And so for me, I learned that home was really any place, as long as it's the place that I am at the moment in the time. So I really focus on the here, the now.
The teenagers.
Yeah, it depends what kind of music, it depends what kind of activity I'm about to get into. But, you know, when I, like, for instance, when I cycled across Canada, there were times where it was really tough to push myself. So, you know, I would go automatically into rap or hip hop. And but for the most part, I will listen to lo-fi hip hop. So I just like instrumental background beats, and, you know, I kind of fill in the voices with my own thoughts. So I like music that has like kind of instrumental beats to it. So that way it keeps my thought and my mind clear of like kind of influences, and kind of focus on what I really need to do in the moment. Yeah, I mean, I do remember the first time that we met, actually. It was at MEC. I was doing a talk, and, you know, I was really like overwhelmed with like the reception that I got there, the people that came to see me talk. And you were one of them. You were the audience, and you had come out and asked me some questions. I remember that, actually.
Yes, I did.
That is a very clear moment. And now here we are, a year and a half later, we're reconnected. So I never really forget anybody. Like, it's one of those, like, everyone has some kind of influence to you. And whether you recognize it or not, you did as well. Just the fact that you came and you supported me, you listened to me, that meant a lot for me, you know, and that could have influenced my direction and where I wanted to go with what I'm doing right now. So you might have influenced me to do more talks and to push even harder, and to think like, oh, people really are listening to this, and people really do appreciate what you're doing. So, in that sense, like, that's how I think every single individual person can influence you, whether it's good or bad. I mean, in your case, it was good.
Thank you.
And another thing too, yeah, so I have an expedition coming up in May, beginning of May, end of April, and that's called the 𝗀𝗀𝗃𝗀 Challenge. And the 𝗀𝗀𝗃𝗀 Challenge is an expedition across the Turks and Caicos Islands through 8 main islands. And it's all going to be human-powered adventure. So kayaking, biking, swimming, running, and hiking.
Wow.
And we're going to film the entire sequence of this expedition, which will take roughly around 6 days. And we're going to be also focusing on, the adventure aspect of Turks and Caicos Islands, and as well as the sustainable development that's going on there. So a part of the expedition, what actually makes it really exciting is that there is a community challenge that will be added to it as well. So what that means is, if I'm doing a 30-kilometer run across one of the islands, as an example, in real time, people can track my heart rate. They can check what's going on with my cadence, et cetera, while people from around the world can match their activities with mine as well. So when I'm doing the 30-kilometer run, people from around the world are challenged to also do a 30-kilometer run, or even more. And then in the leadership board, everyone is recognized and seen as a collective, and anyone who makes the top 5 is going to somehow get some sort of prize. So we haven't really figured out what that prize is yet, but it definitely will be connected with some charitable organization.
Mario, thank you so much, Mario. Thank you. I don't know if you have anything else to say, but I'm happy for whatever you said. I don't know if you want to add.
Yeah, questions. I never got questions like that before, so that's good. Put me on the spot.
As well, if you don't mind, add your social media, please, for the people who want to follow you, or the social media they use it.
So if you wanted to follow my social media, please go to my Instagram, Mario Rigby, or go to my YouTube. I'm really focusing on putting a lot of YouTube content out there right now. So that is also Mario Rigby, my full last name, which is 𝗷𝗲𝗃𝗶𝗶𝗀.
E assim foi a conversa com o nosso convidado da semana, Mario Rigby, aqui no Espaço Mwangolé. Lembre-se, Black History Month, também história do Canadá.